Linda's Weekly Guided Insights, a weekly gift of guidance from my spirit guides on navigating you through the uncertain world that you are now living in. Published every Tuesday since 2014. In this episode, the guides will be talking about this life is not all there is. And Ray, like always, has a question for me.
I do. I have a good one. I find it interesting that people worry so much about where they're going to go when they die. But they give little or no thought to where they came from before they got here.
You know, that is a good question. Think about that. People are always concerned about where they're going as opposed to where they've been. Why are you here? Why did you bother to come here? And yes, you planned it. You took more time planning this lifetime than it would take to live it out. That's how much care you put into planning it with your guides. With your guides. You didn't do this alone. You did this with your spirit family. They stayed behind. They wanted nothing to do with it. But their agreement was to see you through this lifetime and guide you through it. All right. So I'm going to tell a story about how I learned this. I learned this on the worst day of my life and the best day of my life. I was 20 months old. It's insight. I'm going to read it, how it started this. At 20 months old, when I physically met my spirit guides for the time, our reunited. I was in two this one. This was a big takeaway that happened that day. In that merge, granted access to my pre-amnesia memories, I instantly remembered that this life is not all there is. That experience is what put fear into perspective for me throughout the rest of my life. It was fear that put me into this urgent situation when my mother almost killed me at 20 months old. And my guides physically appeared all around me, all of them. Okay. And when that happened, that experience is what put fear into perspective for me throughout the rest of my life. I saw people and things for who and what they were. I saw things. I didn't see things the way I wanted them to be. I didn't make things up. I faced what was happening in the here and now, in the present moment, at 20 months old. I was aware that fear could only happen if I forgot who I was. In that moment when I met my guides, when my mom almost killed me, and they telepathically reminded me, they didn't tell me, they reminded me who I was. It changed everything, you guys. It only happened so I was aware that fear could only happen if I ever forgot who I was again. That's the only way it could happen. I stopped taking everything personally. I was learning at a higher level. To summarize, I was remembering who I was. Best of all, understanding that this life is not all there is took the pressure off me so I could live the life I intended before I got here. Hello. What else can I say about this life is not all there is? Here, and when Ray asked that question, why do people fear what's coming? What's going to happen when I die, as opposed to where they came from? Because let me tell you something, you guys, you've come from that place where you came from before you got here over and over and over again. It's called reincarnation. Okay. It's called karma. If you left this world and you didn't do what you came here to do, you didn't do it, you didn't pull it off, it's a karmic lesson for you to come back and rinse and repeat and have to do this all over again until you start to wake up and become conscious that you did come from somewhere. And you're not so focused on what's going to happen to me when I die. By the way, you don't die when you leave. You die when you come here. We are taught all the wrong things. Okay, and it's no wonder you've been living a life of fear. It's no wonder you have always worried about what somebody might think of you and taking it all personally and being terrified and scared. Okay, all the time. Anybody would be. I would be if I didn't know I was guided and had this guidance and I didn't know where I came from and who I was and why I'm here and what I'm supposed to do. I can't even imagine not knowing that. But I learned that at 20 months old. This life is not all there is. This life is not all there is. You live in two worlds. You came from the other world. Okay, that's who you really are. The mission that you're on is you who planned that. And then you're in this world. So how do you play this out in this world? How do you do that? That's why you're here. You're here to figure that out. You're here to calm down. You're here to learn to be present so you don't miss this time. Okay? This life is not all there is. Imagine knowing, not just hearing me say this. Imagine knowing it as well as I do. That's where you want to get. That's where you want to be. Because that's the truth. The truth, if you feel terrified and scared of what's going to happen, are you going to die? Then you're living an illusion on steroids. Okay? So the illusion, you can get so caught up in this world and miss the whole thing. I know that. I work with a lot of people who come to me and are struggling with that fear, that fright, that trauma. This is trauma. And you're living your whole life in trauma, in fear, and you don't even recognize it. Okay, it's time to do the work. Get my book. I'm going to tell you that this is how you're going to learn this. I explain it in this book I wrote, Guided, my flagship book. It won the Body, Mind, Spirit International Book Award in 2017. Okay? And it's self-published. This book took off. This book changes lives. Then came the companion journals to Guided that show you how to get out of this prison of feeling scared and fearful all the time because you are just in this world. Oh my God, I'd be scared and fearful too. So I'm on your side. This is how you break out of it. Read my book first to see how I did it, see how it works. The first 8 chapters of Guided are harrowing. I'm giving you a heads up. There's 28 chapters in Guided. The first 8 chapters describe my childhood. It was abusive from day one. It's what pushed me through this fear that they laid on me 1,000-fold. I mean, my parents and my family are fearful to this day. My parents have died, but they've all lived in fear, all of them. And they just know they're right. They know it's the truth. That's it. That's too bad. I could never reach them, so I never tried. I had to survive them, okay? And having this access to my guides and learning all this at such a young age and being freed from it is why I do this work. I help the ones who can be reached. I don't bother the others, just like I don't bother my family. Okay. And that's how, when you bump into this, when you realize this, when you wake up, when you become conscious of what's really going on, why you're really here, who you really are, and that this life is not all there is. You're going to finish what you came here to do, what you planned. And when you are finally released from this world, it will feel like a homecoming, the homecoming that it is. Not something scary, not heaven and hell. No, none of that. None of that. So get in touch with why you are here, because this life is not all there is. Quit taking it so hard. Quit letting it scare you so much, so you can get done what you came here to do and be who you are. Okay? Okay. If my life has changed your life in any way, my stories, my purpose, what I do to help you guys wake up and get through this life in full form, in the best life you've ever lived, not just another lifetime, not just having to come back again and do this again and again, then tell your friends. Okay, tell your like-minded friends. And my spirit guides and I love your comments, so keep them coming. They're going to close the session. The spirit guides are going to close the session tonight on this life is not all there is. And here they go.
Let's play What If. What if you really did die when you came here? And when you supposedly die from this life, you are born in your real world.
Speak up.
What if everything you've been taught was really the opposite? What if everything you've been taught in schools or by society or authority figures is all lies? It's all not true. You came here with all the gifts and talents from your other world. It's up to you to apply them in this world in order to flush out the untruths, the negativity, the lack of love in this life. Imagine that everything that has worked against you in this life doesn't even exist in the other world. That's exactly the way it is. Stop harming yourself by your lack of gratitude for what you have. Gratitude is being aware and thankful for what you have and not worrying about what you don't have. Spending all your time competing for something that is a total illusion. Look at everything in its opposite form for just 1 month, and you will have scratched the surface of the universal reality.
And this is how you're going to do it, right here. Read my book or listen to my book first. I read the book myself. And then get these journals, and your life will clear up. Don't miss your life again. I can't say it any better than this, what they just said. You have help. You are never alone and always being guided.